first map, Camp Turf War. Camp Turf War is going to be a rough one. If you've ever played Camp Turf War, the sides are really split. Like, you have to commit to going right or going left right at the beginning of the match. Like, you can go right on the incline, or you can go left into your zone. So if both of them go left, then they're not going to see each other till way later in the match. We have a Sploosh and a Dapple Doolies. Oh my gosh. Honz with the Booyah. At least I can see it. They both have... Honz is going back to his wall, and Natalia's going to strip. So they're both going to end up in their zone, completely split. Natalia with the Missile spam. Great pick. So we got Natalia's running Swim Speed and Ninja Squid, and Honz is running a little bit of everything. Honestly, Swim Speed Ninja Squid is a good idea on a Sploosh, but on a map like this, I feel like maybe it wasn't the choice. Camp Triggerfish has these grates that you have to walk on, and when you're walking, the Ninja Squid doesn't do anything. But Honz is still, if we look at the map here, that button, Honz is still like firmly in his base, and Natalia's just coming for him. Natalia's absolutely winning this paint battle. If we look at the squids on the top, Natalia's is bigger. Ooh, Honz just caught up. So Natalia, I don't know, she just put beacons down in his base. That is like, that could win her the game, but I don't know if she knows where Honz is. Now she does, and she realizes that he's right there. It's our first encounter. And a trade. Oh my gosh. That's a great way to start the beginning of the game. Just a perfect trade. Natalia, will she go for the jump, or will she continue to paint her base? She goes for the base paint, but she absolutely, if we look at this map, she absolutely still has these beacons. Both of them have beacons. That's crazy. Natalia sending out another Tenon Missile. So Natalia does have the advantage with these Tenon Missiles that she could paint wherever Honz is. So, man, really, if we look at this, Honz is in danger. If we look at the overview map, which is up, but Honz coming in with the Bomb Rush is going to take back a lot of map. These two only seeing each other once. This is just another time where they're so far away from each other. Like, if they see each other again this game, it won't be till the very end, because where they're sitting right now is not near each other. Natalia calling out where Honz is again with the Tenon Missiles. Ooh, Honz. Ooh. Honz trying to snipe Natalia with the super jump to the beacon, and Natalia just calling that one out. So that was a little bit of a misstep from Honz, in my opinion, because when you jump to a beacon, it shows you where your opponent is on the map. So Honz could see, or if they're close to the beacon, it shows you. So Honz might have been able to see that Natalia was there. Maybe he thought he could sneak behind, but Natalia saw that beacon. So Honz is in a lot of danger, but he has a Bomb Rush. He could still take this. Ooh, another encounter here. This absolutely has to go into Honz if he wants any chance of taking this game. Honz backing away, ultimately, in my opinion, a bad idea, because now they're just going to both ink an equal amount, and with how much Honz is behind, he needed a kill to secure the win. And this one, first game goes to Natalia. I mean, it was Camp Turf War, so they really didn't see each other, and the fact that Natalia just had the better painting with the Tenon Missiles, and Natalia spent so much time moving, where Honz spent a lot of time in his base, just gave the game to Natalia. But now we've seen that they both played very short-range weapons, so we can see counter picks of anything. Man, I know I still want to see the Dynamo. Come on, Natalia. But Honz, I've seen him with a bunch of weapons too. Like, will Honz pull out his heavy? Like, there's a lot. Ooh. Oh, goodbye. Well, Natalia getting that hard disconnection. That was, honestly, Natalia's European, and the host Uber is American, I think, or Canadian, one of those things, and that causes disconnection. Alright. So, we were just informed that Bat is giving his charm to the loser of this match. So instead of this being a best of 3, it is now a best of 5. Which, God, we get to see even more great turf war. I want to see the Dynamo. Natalia can't hear me, but if you can, play Dynamo. I want to see it, but I mean, ultimately go with what's best for you. I hope they use the same password. Oh, did you guys see I made this seconds before we started? That is not the right password. What did they make the Oh, it's a new one. Thanks, Honz, for letting Nat know. Isn't this great? That was just like seconds of work. Alright, and we're back. I just dropped my controller. Man, Natalia's got a little bit of a cockiness to her. Knowing Natalia, that'll work out in her favor. She came in this like, yep, I won. Which, good for her. I mean, I still think this could go either way because we've seen Honz win Elim battles before. And we're back. Bit knowing firsthand that Honz could absolutely take this one. Alright, into game 2. Turf War Skipper Pavilion. If you have any experience on my channel, you know how much I love Skipper Pavilion. Skipper Pavilion is... It's an oh boy. If you played Splatoon 1, we had Salt Spray Rig, and Skipper Pavilion takes everything that Salt Spray Rig did and makes it a little bit better. But it still sucks. This map, because of the way, so a little pro knowledge, Natalia has a little bit of an advantage because Bravo team has an advantage on some of the walls, but Nintendo doesn't care. Ah, Nintendo. But because of the way this map is faced, they spawn pretty close to each other. So unlike last match, I think we're gonna see a lot of one-on-one encounters. The chat wants Nat for Team Noodles. Fair. Honz going Brella and Nat going Dynamo. I told you they'd shake it up. Nat going Dynamo after my request. Thank you. Honz with the booyah again. Nat and Honz both going... Ooh, that's just some nice spectator lag. Alright, we're gonna watch Honz. If you know anything about the spectator mode in Splatoon 2, it's a little bit laggy. I think they programmed it so we wouldn't affect the lag of the players, but you know. Alright, we got our first encounter coming up. Rella is a great counter pick here because he can just put up the shield. Yeah, Honz taking the first kill. I wasn't expecting the Rella from Honz, and neither was Nat. Team Damp. Neither of these people are on Damp Waffles. And Honz just taking the whole map here. If we zoom out, we got a lot of purple down in mid. Natalia rolling along at the top. This map, it's clearly divided into top and bottom. And Honz has the whole bottom, and Natalia's getting pushed into the top. Throwing armor maybe a little too soon. I mean, she sees him, but they're not in reach. And here we go, another fight, and Honz not getting the Brella up fast enough on that one. I am on Team Damp, but they're not. And Natalia is going to be able to now take the whole bottom. Natalia is running Inksaver main, understandable, and Honz also is Inksaver main. So both of these two strats was just to paint, and that's completely valid. Natalia with the armor again. Going into these matches with armors is great, these 1v1s, because You have armor. You're safe. And now it's over, and Natalia again at the disadvantage because Honz has a giant shield. But at the same time, if Natalia can maneuver around this, this does not look like it's going Natalia though. Natalia just got trapped on the bottom, and we're back to a Honz-controlled map. And if we look at this, it looks like Honz is winning, but Natalia has a little bit more of her base. Well, is about to anyway. So again, this could go either way. Natalia still has the whole top area, which is bigger than you would expect. But regardless, because this is a best of 5, ooh, that one was a little fish. I don't know, with the European, I guess that's the downside of Brella in this matchup. If you're fighting a European and you're an American with a Brella, you might lose. Natalia going for the squish. Out of ink, this could go really bad. This kill could decide the game. Honz taking the top from Natalia though, that could be a big problem. If I was Natalia, I would want to kill him. Ooh, Natalia almost sneaking around and out of ink. And the kill did not matter. Let's see who took this one. Honestly, this is pretty close. I'm thinking Honz is my guess, but... Ooh. Look how close that is. They were within 1%, but Honz did take it. Very close match. And now we're 1-1. Gosh. Natalia expecting this sweep. I wonder if that's gonna hurt her ego. But I mean, now Natalia's like, well, he has a Brella. Like, not gonna play Dynamo again. Oh, Honz just asked for a short break, and Uber started it. If we do take a break, I'm gonna play casual music. I don't know what's happening though. Natalia with the pretty quick lock-in. Did she stay with Dynamo and she go back to Sploosh? I mean, Certain Shipyard, it doesn't play like the 2 maps we just had. Certain Shipyard is very big. You're not going to reach your opponent. If I was Honz, I'd pull out that heavy that we saw in last week's Elim, I believe. Because you can just stand back, paint the whole map, but we could see anything. On the other hand, Natalia, I mean, if you go with the Sploosh again, you could get outranged, or Honz could go with the Dapples. Like, man, they have options. Also, these two might just have pockets that we just haven't seen yet. Ag had the heavy. There was a heavy on both teams. Ag was heavy for his team. Honz was heavy for his team. And then both teams had a brush. C and Ontos. You're Ontos. Jet Squelcher? You know, you guys are right. I'm wrong. Honz with the fucking dually Squelchers. I agree with that pick. Natalia going back to Sploosh. Honz, in my opinion, at an advantage here with how big this map is. Honz looking fresh, that's true. Honz and Natalia switching strategies. So last time Honz stayed in base and Natalia went to mid. Now Honz going to mid first, Natalia staying in base. I mean, Honz definitely has an advantage because he can reach. Natalia running the Ninja Squid again. I mean, this is definitely a better map for it than Camp. Honz getting the first hit, but Natalia just hiding away with Ninja Squid. And you guys were right, he was a Jet Squelcher, and Dually Squelchers and Jet Squelcher plays pretty similarly. If Honz had something like a Pro, he could have secured that kill, but with the RNG on Dually Squelchers, it's not happening. Honz getting stuck on that box. That was almost Natalia's kill. Honz running away instead of fighting. Fair. Natalia cannot approach. Honz has the range. Ooh, Natalia is trapped in a corner right now. Honz with 3 hits on her. Is she gonna jump out? Yeah. Very safe, very safe. Like, it's very much better for her to jump out and get another Tenna missile off, and we can watch she's getting more of her base. Honz dying to the Tenna missile. Okay. That's gonna put Natalia at a huge advantage because Natalia just won a fight without fighting. Honz is probably a little bit upset about that one. I switched the camera, we didn't see it, I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting that. It's okay, Honz getting more ink in his base. The Rain again. Rain, a great pick. It's not gonna win you the offensive battles. Honz getting pushed into the corner, but saying, I have more range, it's fine. Like, Rain, Natalia was definitely standing bright in that Rain, too. Like, it's definitely not an offensive pick, but if you're standing in it, it is. Honz halfway to Rain again. Natalia just grabbing another Tenna missile. I mean, this is definitely, the Tenna missiles are definitely keeping this match pretty neutral. Natalia's base is painted way better than Honz's base. Natalia's sneaking on the underside there. Will Honz see that? He does not, but Natalia did not get enough hits to kill. The RNG on the sploosh was just not in her favor. On the other hand, Natalia's at a huge advantage right now because she just took all of mid and she has her base painted better. So Honz, again, Honz gotta get a kill to get this mid to be his instead of this equal fight, and he takes it. Again, the range just giving him this advantage. Honz taking out that beacon. Natalia like has seconds left to do something, but it does look like Honz is going to take this one. At least I think. Unless Natalia's base painting did it for her, but I don't think so. Yeah, it was very close though. Again, Honz ignored his base this time. So now we are 2-1 Honz? Man, Natalia's probably a little bit upset about this after going in being like, I won. But on the other hand, Natalia might have just been like, I want to take this to game 5. It'll be more fun that way. Alright, Honz is taking a short break. So let's put on some music. Listen. Forcing people to listen to music is one of my talents. And we are back. Our short break didn't even get us through that match. Or that song, rather. It's a good song, though. Dude, did you call that goth country? It's fucking indie. It's Redvox, who is a streamer, Vinny Vinesauce. And he lets you use his music without copyright claims. Which is the best. That's my go-to music because he doesn't claim it. Anyway, Schellendorf Turf War. Ladies and gentlemen, Schellendorf is ass. Honz with the Dilly Squelchers again. Natalia with the sploosh again. I don't know if that was the pick, man. With Honz now has the range. This is Schellendorf? Like, man. And Natalia got rid of her Tenna missiles going for Stamp. Her only play here is to be so aggressive. Let's go watch. Because if she's not aggressive, Honz is gonna win. He has just as much painting, he has more range, and this is Schellendorf. Natalia going for the flank. I don't know if Honz knows where she is here. But Honz has the range. Like, again, Natalia is not safe on that roof. This is Schellendorf. Like, come on. will we see, like, Natalia, if Natalia can get a bomb behind him and rush him, that'll be the roof coil. Otherwise, Honz doesn't have to get off the roof. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Honz going for the kill through the stamp and not getting it. And Natalia just sweeping him up. Honestly, why'd he get off the roof? Honz, if you're listening to this, don't get off the roof. Really, you'll be fine. Stay on the roof. Ooh, Natalia going with the stamp throw at the wall, but Honz just disappearing. If we look, Honz on the left. If we look at the map right now, it's pretty even. Honz painted his base a little bit better. He learned from last game. Natalia just going for the chase. I mean, that's the play with that weapon. She has to secure this because it's gonna be over. Honz saw that bomb and was like, where is she? They are just doing circles around each other. Honz right above Natalia. Does he even know? Natalia doesn't. She thought Honz was in front of him and was like, nope, he's not, and threw the stamp. Natalia again going for that aggress, but just, you know, stay off the roof. Getting paint in his base. I mean, is he gonna come back to paint, or is he just gonna stay in her base? He's pretty safe here on the roof. Ooh, you better run. Natalia missing that stamp throw. I would have lined it up a second longer. And Natalia, who got off the roof, understandable. This is really close right now. I think the match was just in Natalia's favor. She definitely got a lot of paint in his base, a place where he's not. He's on the roof. Natalia just stamping away. They are not near each other, and they don't know where each other are. This could go either way. Man, look at this. I think it went to Natalia. Yeah. That was really close. Yeah, off about 100p. That early loss, I think, was the game because Natalia just could swim circles and Honz had to reposition. And now we are what are we? Is it 2-2? Yeah, 2-2. Right. Finger guns. 2-2. This is our final game, I believe. Natalia saying Schellendorf is the worst map known to Squid. Absolutely. Schellendorf is awful and bad. The maps today have not been in their favor. Camp, which is a great map for anything but turf war. Schellendorf, I'm so sorry. And then the other one was the one that I forgot the name of that I hate, that I said I hated earlier. That one also sucks. And we go into game 5 here. Wahoo World. Okay, this is a good one. So Wahoo World, Skipper, right? Skipper's the bad one. Wahoo World has a lot of options. You could go long range and hang in the back. You could go short range and go for the flank and just keep doing it. I love Wahoo World. It like Wahoo World, it's just so different. No other map in this game is round. Like, I guess it's not actually round, but the middle is round. It has the great moving platform that can change the tide of a game. The middle is like a no man's land, but if someone takes the middle, it's gonna be hard to get it back. Natalia seems like she pressed A pretty fast, so will we see the sploosh again? Will we see the stamp sploosh? On the other hand, Honz just taking another breather. I mean, sploosh versus dually squelchers on this map I think is going to be a lot closer. Even though Natalia took it last match and I didn't expect it, this map, it isn't like Honz has to stay on the roof, Natalia has to stay on the ground. Like, with those weapons, they could go anywhere. Or Honz could pull out the Brella again, but with the way sploosh works, and how much swim speed she was running. She could just get around him. Or Natalia could pull out the dynamo again. Because dynamo. Let's see what we got. Honz with the Brella again, and Natalia with the Stamp Sploosh. I mean, interesting. So, the Brella again, I think that's a good pick. On the other hand, if we look at Natalia here, it's at least 2 mains of swim. It might even be 5. Like, Natalia is going to move around the Brella. But Honz has Sprinkler and Rain, so Honz is gonna ink, and he's got protection. We got our first fight going into mid. Natalia throwing the Stamp at him. I think I would have went the Tenna Missiles one, but, you know. Especially getting a kill with Tenna Missiles in that game 3. Ooh! Honz almost dying to that bomb. I think it was spectator lag, because on our end it looked like he was gonna die. Natalia coming in with the Stamp, but Honz getting behind her. Natalia just not entirely sure where he is. I mean, that's what the Tenna Missile was doing for her. She could tell where he is. Where now she's a little more confused. Honz taking the whole middle, pushing into her side, but just kind of waiting a minute. With that bridge going in, he is not safe there. We hear the Stamp on Natalia. Well, she must have just thrown it. Like, she saw him, but he got away. Natalia going for the base painting. That has won games, so everyone knows the only important part in the turf war is the last minute. So Natalia getting her base nice and painted, and then the last minute going for the aggro kills. Not a bad pick. We have Honz just securing the middle. This could lose Honz the game here. Honz is like, I gotta get this middle real nice. Meanwhile, Natalia's base is completely painted and Honz isn't at all. If I was Honz, I would have jumped out 30 seconds ago. Natalia throwing the Stamp again. What is she doing with those Stamps? Honz gets the top, so he definitely has the advantage on this encounter. But what we know about Honz is he doesn't like to fight. He definitely prefers to just ink, and now he's stuck over here again. Natalia could push him into a corner. Did you hear the Stamp come out? He might die. She must have not known he was there. Honz is so stuck right now. Man, if Natalia would have dropped with that, she was right above him. If she would have dropped, Honz would have got destroyed. He was just stuck. We have 30 seconds. We zoom out. To me, it still looks like Natalia is winning. I think Honz made a huge mistake not going back to paint his base. Natalia with the Stamp throw again. I love this. Natalia is great. Honz, in my opinion, needs to kill Natalia if he's gonna win. Like, he needs the time to paint where she's not, because she paints a little bit better. But that is not gonna happen, and we'll see how this goes. I think this is going to Natalia. I mean, look at that. Honz had none of his base. Yeah, that was not a close match. If you just square off the middle, it's pretty Honz. But if you look at the full picture, Honz just missed half the map. And the chat is going wild. Everyone was Natalia fans. I mean, that was ultimately those were some close matches. Going to game 5. And Natalia with the good games, like how she went, it was like I was gonna win. She was like, wow, those were really close. Like she said, you were a worthy opponent. I'm trying to connect to Discord voice chat so people can talk.